been a little minute, but we're back.
Cinema is back, baby. Ladies, gents, and everyone in between, we officially have our first truly great film of 2025. Hey up, guys. So today on the channel, we're talking about the latest film from writer-director Ryan Coogler called Sinners. Good God, I have not been this excited to talk about a movie in months, okay? I am pumped. Okay, this is what it's all about for me. Sinners is a big budget, all-star, entirely original film from the guy who gave us the Black Panther movies. What I really want to know is, how the hell did Ryan Coogler pitch this film to Warner Brothers? Because this is an ambitious, expensive, non-IP idea that's part gangster film, part western, part blaxploitation thriller, part pseudo-musical, part folklore vampire horror, with chunks of it shot on IMAX cameras, and Warner Brothers were like, sure, yeah, here's 90 million, go nuts. Okay, this was a huge gamble for Warner Brothers. And this is a public service announcement, but we as a society cannot let Sinners flop. If we don't show up for films like Sinners at the cinema, then we do not deserve them. Simple as. Trust me when I say that Sinners is worth the cost of a cinema ticket and will undoubtedly be in many cinephiles' top 10 favorite films of 2025 lists. Okay, this is what the big screen experience is all about. Okay, you do not want to miss this one in cinemas. This is actually gonna be a tough film for me to review because the best way to experience this film is to go into it knowing as little about it as possible, go into it blind and come out stunned like I did. And because I don't want to spoil this film for anyone, I am going to keep things vague, but I'm just going to do my best to try and sell this movie to you. Let's start with a synopsis. Set over the space of one day in Mississippi in 1932, the film follows renowned gangster twins, the Smokestack twins, one's called Smoke, one's called Stack, and they're both played by Michael B. Jordan, who come into some money through some shady means and decide to purchase the old sawmill in their hometown of Clarksdale in Mississippi and turn it into a nightclub for the brothers and sisters of their community. The first act of this film is rather straightforward. It's the brothers assembling all the bits and bobs that they need for opening night, whether that's booze, the food, and signage, which is provided by Bo and Grace Chow, who are played by Yao and Jun Li. Security that needs to be on the door by hiring the brawny cornbread, who's played by Omar Miller. And of course, the entertainment for the evening, the musicians, which includes the boozy harmonica playing Delta Slim, played by Delroy Lindo, and the twins guitar playing cousin Sammy Moore, who's played by Miles Caton. Once the team is gathered, the local punters show up for a night of boozing and dancing, a real ring-a-ding-ding, as Smoke says. But the night takes a sadistic turn when a group of suspicious traveling white folks who are led by Jack O'Connell show up at the club and ask to be invited in. And that is all the plot that you need to know. Amazingly, Ryan Coogler manages to find the perfect sweet spot where the film exists both as a fun, non-stop entertaining popcorn movie, but also as a piece of meaningful art. The ideas in this are so fully realized by Ryan Coogler, but it's also so rare to find a film these days which balances, big screen entertainment with meaningful substance. Thematically, there is so much going on here in Coogler's screenplay. He's juggling multiple genres all at once, but he's also providing commentary on the power of music and music's place within religion, as well as racial oppression, black identity, and even cultural appropriation, what with the theft of black culture, with the white characters in this literally being like parasitic vampires taking the blood and life force out of the black culture. Okay, there are so many layers to this film, but amazingly, it all feels cohesive, okay? It all comes together. There's some stuff in here, particularly with the music, which in the hands of the wrong director or composer could have gone disastrously wrong, but in the capable hands of Ryan Coogler and Ludwig Göransson, who did the score for this movie, it completely works. There's a sequence in the middle of this film that takes place at the sawmill, which I don't want to go into too much detail about because spoilers, but it is so ambitious. It all ties in with the film's opening prologue, okay? There's this speech about how there are certain individuals who are born with such legendary gifts for making music that they can pierce the veil between life and death and conjure spirits from the past and the future. And you'll know what I'm talking about when it happens. But I swear to God, in this sequence, it felt like for a moment that my spirit left my body and I was just kind of floating around in a state of euphoria. I was transported. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, but It genuinely felt like I was having an out-of-body experience in the cinema. That whole sequence was a cinematic moment that I will treasure forever. I will forever remember just gawking up at the screen, jaw on the floor, completely mesmerized by what I was witnessing for the first time, okay? Testify! Coogler took me to church, and then to hell, and then back again, okay? This movie was a ride. And there is never a dull moment. Even with such a large ensemble of characters, Coogler really takes the time to establish all the players, who they are, their backstories, their motivations. And I found myself caring for all the characters, okay? Not just some of them. That's how well fleshed out everybody is. By the time that things go south, you really do fret for the safety of the characters. And the horror in this hits so hard. If you want to know how to do an effective jump scare that doesn't feel cheap, watch Sinners and take notes. I think there was 3 times in this where I leapt out of my skin, and they were jump scares, but they were jump scares done so well. There was also some palpable moments of tension in this, because there were times where I could hear people in the audience go, no, 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 no! Like, there's just one scene where Smoke is just looking through a hole in a door, and there's another where he's trying to pay someone through a doorway, and blimey, that was some nerve-jangling shit. Also, there's a scene in this which pays homage to John Carpenter's The Thing with the whole blood test scene, except it's done with garlic, and that whole scene was just tense, tense, tense. So yeah, the scares in this were done very well. Yeah, but what else is there to discuss? Well, the production values in this are off the charts. Like, the world of this film feels really lived in, thanks to the fantastic production design, particularly in the old sawmill where the bulk of the film takes place. Like, it just has a real feel to it with the blood and the sweat and the sawdust. And then there's Ruthie Carter's gorgeous costume work and also the soulful cinematography from Autumn Durald Arkapour. Oh yeah, I haven't really talked about the performances, have I? Like I said, everybody in this is so good because Coogler's script gives all of them plenty to play with. Praise to everyone in this because there really isn't a weak link in the armor. But if I had to pick some standouts, my personal picks would be Michael B. Jordan for his dual performances as the Smokestack twins, Wunmi Musaku as the fierce yet hurting Miss Annie. She manages to convey volumes of emotion through just the way that she carries herself. She was probably my favorite performance. A shout out to Jack O'Connell as the terrifying Remick. His Irish dancing in the moonlight scene isn't going to be leaving my brain anytime soon. And also Miles Caton as Sammy. Okay, that man has a voice like butter on the eardrums. Every time he sang, I got goosebumps. All right, so let's talk about its Oscars chances. Now, this is going to be one of those films that's actually kind of hard to call how well it's going to do at the Oscars because there is a lot working against it, with this being a big, expensive studio genre film, which is being released in April. Okay, the timing of this film's release is a massive disadvantage for it. And historically, vampire movies don't get into Best Picture at the Oscars, regardless of how artistic or how well received they are. Just look at last year with Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, but that film did manage to show up in a few techs and crafts. So yeah, there's going to be a lot working against this film, what with the timing of its release and genre bias, yada yada yada. However, if this film manages to penetrate the zeitgeist in, say, the same way that The Substance did, and also make a load of money at the box office, then it might just have enough cultural cachet to show up in some above-the-line categories at the Oscars, like, say, hypothetically, Best Picture, Director for Ryan Coogler, or Screenplay, even some acting nominations for Jordan or Musaku, or even Caton. Remember, Angela Bassett did The Thing and got nominated for her performance in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, so after that, anything is possible. But yeah, I'm just hoping it's not a Challengers type movie, which is adored upon release but gets zero love from the Academy. The one category where there's no denying it will show up for is the score by Ludwig Göransson. He's already the frontrunner in this category because music is such an integral part of the plot of Sinners, and there is no denying the music in Sinners is unforgettable, okay? It is breathtakingly brilliant. The score for Challengers was shockingly snubbed last year, but I think it was snubbed in every category, but the score was particularly egregious. But that's probably because the Academy viewed it as, a bit too Berlin nightclub, for their taste. Yeah, it's probably just a bit too fun for them, but with Sinners, the music in Sinners is just, it's powerful, it's evocative, it's spiritual, stirring. It won't leave the discussion or people's heads anytime soon. As far as I'm concerned, give Ludwig his third Oscar, okay? I know he just won a couple years ago for Oppenheimer, but this is truly deserving. But hopefully Sinners is acknowledged for more than just score. If the Academy can overlook the genre bias and get on board with it, then Sinners could actually be a huge contender at the Oscars. It could be Warner Brothers' Doom Part 1, where the film gets nominated in all the techs and all the crafts. I could see nominations for production design, costume design, hair and makeup, editing, cinematography, sound, even casting. Like, if none of the actors managed to get a nomination, then casting could be like a consolation prize. Also visual effects, even though there isn't a whole lot of CGI in this film, which is just a massive tick in my books. But it wouldn't surprise me if it did show up in visual effects, solely for the reason of how they managed to have two Michael B. Jordans sharing the screen together, like interacting with each other. Like, that was some digital wizardry going on there. So yeah, when it comes to Sinners and the Oscars, I am in two mindsets about it, because I could see it going either way. I could see it being a film that gets like one or maybe two nominations and then massively overlooked, or I can see it being a film that the Academy champions and gives it loads of nominations. But what do you guys think? How will the Academy respond to Sinners? Will they give it loads of nominations? Will they give it hardly any? Whatever you have to say, let your voice be heard in that comment section down below. Do I have any negatives? I do, but one of them verges on spoiler territory, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but it's something to do with the vampires, and all I'll say is the sun doesn't come up just like that. And my only other tiny gripe with this film is that there were a couple of throwback shots used in the editing of this film, which I don't think we needed. The audience could have gotten there on their own. They didn't need to see the older footage replayed in order to understand. But again, it is a minor, forgivable flaw in an otherwise phenomenal film. All right then, the time has come to ask those three questions. Firstly, would I watch it again? Hell yeah! I said in my tweet reaction to this film that I wanted to watch this film again immediately. I can't wait to watch this movie again with Glenn, but also many more times throughout my life, and yes, expect to see it on the wall at some point, and for it to show up in my top 10 movies of 2025 vid. Question 2, do I recommend it for you guys? 1000% yes. The only people I don't recommend this film for are underage people, and for people who don't have a high tolerance for horror or blood, because yeah, there is some scary stuff in this, but I cannot stress enough that you need to watch this film for the first time in a cinema. Sinners is everything that moviegoers have been craving, okay? It's original, it's sexy, it's surprising, it's spectacular, it's taking risks, and it is non-stop entertaining. I would say that this is Ryan Coogler's best film to date, but also we could be looking at a decade-defining film here. This is one of those films I am forcing upon my friends, forcing upon my family, and I'm gonna force it upon you. So yeah, I cannot recommend it enough, okay? Go see it in a cinema, go support this film, okay guys? This is what the cinematic experience is all about. And third question, what score to give out of 10? Like I said, I had a couple minor gripes with this film, which are totally forgivable because I recognize the brilliance and the rarity of a film like Sinners, okay? It is something very special. We are so lucky to even have a film like Sinners, and like I said at the start of this video, this is the first truly great film of 2025, so I'm gonna give Sinners a score of 10 out of 10, and I'm also gonna go as far as saying that it is absolutely a film that everyone should watch at least once before they die. I can give it no higher praise than that. But as always, guys, it is just one bloke's opinion. I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you have to say about Sinners, okay? This is a movie that starts a conversation. Whatever you have to say, let your voice be heard in that comment section down below. If you guys have enjoyed the video, help me out by hitting that little thumbs up button. If you want more movie, TV, and Oscars-related content, don't forget to click subscribe. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, the Oscars, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Carefield, and I'll see you next time.